necessary every time an episode got over, which will help you to come back and drive home, all these efforts are going to go for a waste. So, if you already have a message, how do you deliver this message? Again, I'll take you back to another movie. If you any of you here have watched the movie Pursuit of Happiness, yeah, one of the greatest movies ever made. Pursuit of Happiness is one moment in the speech. Well, the entire movie, the title itself says Pursuit of Happiness, right? Now here we kind of get what the title is all about, because every single time this is going through difficult times, he's finding his way into reaching that moment of happiness, right? He loses his job, his wife leaves him, he's on the streets, he doesn't have a place to stay, he's not able to sell the equipment, he's a salesman, he's not able to sell anything, he doesn't have money. Back-to-back setbacks for him, right? So, this is his speech. You're having setbacks, you're having your own personal story that you're sharing. Small moment is called happiness. He says, that small moment is happiness. That is the entire pursuit of happiness that he was doing all this time, right? So in your speech, that has to be that when you will the message home, or when you will deliver the message which has to come at the right moment, the right time. It may be a great speech, it may be somewhere in the conclusion, it may be right after the body of the speech. You know best when it's going to matter the most. But if people are going to tell you that it's got to be right in the message, most people say this, they say, right at the beginning you got to give the message. Guess what? If I need my message right at the beginning, I'm not going to ask the question what's in it for me anymore. Let's understand this. Subconsciously, the audience is asking you this question, although they don't have to directly, but they don't have to ask you this question, what's in it for me? People are they want to watch you, let's say, so they want you to mention. They are asking you the question, what's in it for me? The minute you answer that question, that is the moment, that is the aha moment that is for the audience, so they're going to get turned off. They're going to switch frequencies, they're going to get distracted. So you have only till that moment to make your point. Alright. That's that simple, right? You have an opening scene, a great opening scene, you have the body of the speech, which has to be like a web series or I would say teleseries, and then you deliver the message at the right moment. So, is that all you need to give a speech? I can give you this speech written, alright? And I tell you, take this speech, I'm going to hand this over to you as a gift. And they win the contest. You think they will do it? Well, let me tell you this. Your style is unique to yourself. The way you deliver your message, the way you make your speeches is unique to you. Over the years, I've had this problem that I've always had serious speeches. All my speeches will be so serious, and it's going to be so much that from the word start all the way to the end, there's so much room in the speech for people to cry. And not a single release in my speech. Alright? Now, if that's your style and that suits you, and you're doing a great job at that, why not? But if your style is being humorous all throughout the speech, and then delivering the messages in humor, why not? So, you gotta ask yourself that question. What's your style that's going to suit you? So, if I give you a speech, it may not suit your style of presentation. You may be much more humorous than I am. So, if I give you a serious speech, you will look robotic, I would say. And people are going to find that out very easily. Because your words will not match your gestures. Your gestures will not match your expressions. So, make sure that your speech is your own. That's going to be very important for you. Let me now turn the focus on to online contests. Let's say you had all of this. Now, the reason why I wanted to include this in video is I have heard many speakers in the Philippines say this. And I'm sure one of the champion speakers is attending this workshop as well, Ned Perez, and I'm sure I saw Ned's name there. I heard someone say this. They said, you know what, Ned is a great speaker, and Ned, I hope I can use your expertise as an example here, and taking this liberty, and I hope you'll allow me to do so. People say Ned is a great speaker. They said, why did Ned not make it past speakers like Kwam? They said, you know what, Ned didn't make past Kwam, and the reason for that is Kwam had a better quality video. Right? They said Kwam had a better quality video than Ned. Probably Ned had a better speech. Kwam had a better quality recording. Don't forget, once you pass the district, the recording is what goes to the regions. Right? So, I heard someone say this, in District 75, they said, Ned didn't make it because of that. What does that mean? Does that mean that you need an excellent quality equipment? You probably, let's say, have to shell out $5,000 or $3,000-$4,000 to buy a great laptop, probably a MacBook, and buy probably one of the best microphones that there are. Microphones that are used in probably, making movies. Let's say a Rode microphone, a Boya probably. Do you need that? And then lastly, do you need to have a great setup? The amazing looking backdrop, right? In a great room, probably a 5-star hotel room. Is that the thing that's going to help you in a speech? If so, what if you can't afford it? The Toastmasters speech contest or the World Championship of Public Speaking is all about affordability. So does that mean that if I can afford it, I can become the world champion? I'm going to tell you that it is not true.
you, I can tell you that you're on a laptop. Okay. How much did you probably spend on that laptop? A wild guess. Anyone can unmute yourself and just say how much did you spend on that laptop? You
Seven
can
to
tell me
eight
in price.
$1,000.
Did you say
Stolen.
$2,000?
Yeah,
How much would that be
$2,000.
in pesos? Pesos
3,000
times
pesos.
100,000.
all right. Let's make it realistic. Let's say about 35 to 50,000 pesos. All right. Yeah. Someone here says it's 78K. Wow. That's a great number. And thank you so much, Teacher Joy, for sharing that. All right. I want you all to focus now on my screen, and I want you to focus on Teacher Joy. Allow me to do this demonstration. I'm not trying to belittle the amount that you spend on your laptop. I am just trying to make a clear comparison here. Look at my screen, and I want you to look at the screen of Teacher Joy. All right, I'm going to come closer. Do you see a visible difference? Right? Don't you see that the image is more crisper? Don't you see that you can actually see things more clearer on my face than on Teacher Joy's face? If you're not agreeing with me, tell me you don't. Do you agree?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
All right. So did I spend 78K or 100K pesos to make my image more crisper? Well, here's a wake-up call for you. I'm using a cheap mobile phone. So when we have this tendency to think that a 78K laptop is going to bring me crisper images, let me share something with you. By the way, I'm not a guy, I'm not a person that comes from a technology background. I don't have a degree in IT. I am a normal layman like you, a normal consumer of technology. All right. I'm just a consumer. I'm not an expert. I have learned along the way last year this very simple thing that I'm going to teach all of you. Laptop computers, no matter how expensive they get, no matter how good your affordability is, are going to give you, mind my words, I'm going to give you a bad quality video. I was going to use another word, then I said no, in Toastmasters. I said bad quality video. And the reason for that is they're not built with good webcams. The built-in webcams, the quality is poor. The best you can, I would say on an average, you can do 720p. 720p? On a 78K laptop or a 50K laptop? Are you kidding me? I can go buy a $300 phone and have a better quality camera on it. Did you know this? You probably didn't. Here's my point that I'm trying to drive home. If you have a phone that you're using right now, it has you a better, I would say, a better chance of you winning a contest with a better quality video and image than you going and borrowing money or trying to make yourself, available that equipment that you wanted just because someone else had it and thought that maybe that's your way of winning the contest. You're wrong. I had a regular Huawei phone, all right? And here's another, you can look this up. A Huawei Honor 10 Lite, one of the most cheap Huawei phones that you can find in the market. A Huawei 10 Lite. Some people would say that's a normal, regular phone. Did you actually win your contest on that? Well, I did. Here's another part. Again, going back to the fact about the amount that you're going to spend on a laptop. If you have a laptop and you leave it further away from you. Now, here's one thing. I see, again, Toastmaster Windle, allow me to use your video that I'm looking at as an example. I see Toastmaster Windle using a microphone. It's a wired microphone, which kind of gives me the feeling that you're probably not so satisfied with the microphone which is built in on your laptop, which is driving you to have a earphone fitted on you with better quality. Why did you do that? It's because you probably had bad experience with the built-in microphone of your laptop. You are absolutely right. If you're going to push your laptop away, far away from you, expect to have extremely bad quality audio. Expect to have echo. If you're wondering why I don't have an echo, maybe you're thinking I have a wireless microphone, which I don't. I don't have a wireless microphone. I'm going to go further away and you'll see I still don't have an echo and you can still hear me. I'm probably more farther away from my phone than Toastmaster Windle is from her laptop right now. So laptops are not supposed to be equipped with great microphones. These are supposed to be kept on your lap and used. That's why it's called a laptop, or on your desk and used. That's why it's called either a desktop, probably, if you're not having a laptop. So let's face it, you don't have a great microphone, so you end up buying a good microphone. You don't need it. Your Honor 10 Lite, I'm sorry, my Huawei Honor 10 Lite has a better microphone than a 50, 78K laptop. Again, makes it more affordable for me. Last bit of technology that you need, or the equipment that you need. Lighting. Now, again, I'm going to use an example of one of the audiences here. I see the Toastmaster of today. If I got your name right, I'm just trying to browse through the screen to see if you're still here. There you are. Yes. Toastmaster John Paul. Yeah. Toastmaster John Paul is currently in a room which has got some lighting problem. It's visible, right? You see there are a lot of shadows that are falling on his face. And if you see his face is not illuminated properly. Does that mean you need to go buy studio equipment? All these overhead lights, these umbrella looking lights, do you need all of that? Some of the contestants in the contest that I was competing went ahead and did that. They got studio grade equipment lights. Let me share something with you. If you're going to do that and you don't know how to place the lights, you're going to start having moons all over your face depending on the complexion that you have. If you end up being an Asian, like, you know, a mixed Asian, I would say, who has not so fair complexion, light is going to create reflection on your face, depending on what light are you using. If you're going to use a halogen light, expect to have a lot of reflections on your face, bouncing off your face and all over your, your background. It'll also create much thicker shadows. You're going to have a very big shadow on your background, which you're not going to be able to get rid of. So what do you do? What's the best light? These days, you get these table lamps that is used for reading that comes with a white LED bulb, or those bulbs that look like a tube light, right? I'm sure many of you have seen that. If you have a table lamp, that's the best light that you need. Now, how do you place it is what is going to make all the difference. And it's not the quality of the light. It is not the price that you spend on the light. Make sure that and this is again a wrong practice that has been started in Toastmasters ever since we started going online. You have a light mounted on your phone or your laptop and it is glaring right at you on your face. That is the worst way of keeping a light on your face to illuminate you and your background. Find a wall and face your light on that wall that is on the opposite side of you. What this is going to do is, this is going to disperse the light on the wall. And if you have a white wall, the white wall will absorb the sharpness of the light and will reflect back a soft light. That's exactly what's happening right now for me. If you see, the light is not creating any moons on my face. It's because the light is illuminating the wall in front of me on the opposite end. And the wall is illuminating me. So you actually created a soft light, which you would have otherwise gone and bought it outside. You created it right at home. So if you're in the habit of placing a light mounted on top, facing on your face, putting on your face, that's not going to look great. Okay. Coming to the most important part, the stage, the space that you have. If you remember, I mentioned to you that when I competed in the international speech contest, the district, at the division, at the district semifinals, we have district semifinals, by the way. I got to win the semis to go to the finals. And when I went to the finals, I had a very small room at my disposal. It was 3.5 feet by 4 feet room, or I think slightly smaller or slightly bigger. How I made my room look bigger is this. I placed my camera, my phone, as farther as I could to create the illusion that the room is bigger. All right. You don't have to be this close. If you're going to be this close, of course, your frame is restricted to only this. The moment you go farther away, your frame becomes bigger, your speaking area becomes much bigger for you. I created this illusion that I had a bigger room by just placing the camera in the right distance. If you have a tripod, use it. If you don't have a tripod, here's something I did. during the contest. I had a tripod, but unfortunately, there was one time during the contest where the rubber that holds the phone in place on the tripod snapped. So every time I placed the phone, it was accidentally pressing the power button. So while speaking, it would accidentally press the power button, the phone goes turn off, or it would restart the phone. So I was thinking, how do I manage this problem? Well, very simple. I found the right angle on the opposite wall that I was facing, and I taped my phone there. I taped the phone on the wall using, your regular electrical tapes. I taped it on the wall. And guess what? The phone was taped on the wall and no one even knew it. And and it gave an illusion as though it was placed on a tripod. All this that I'm trying to drive home to you is to have the message that your affordability is not going to decide whether you're going to win the contest or not. So those of you who thought, I'm going to connect back to where I started all the way from. If you thought that your contestants from District 75 or you as a contestant is not making it past a regional semifinal, regional quarterfinals, or further than that because of bad equipment, it means you haven't explored your equipment that are there at your disposal, because you have been so busy listening to what other people are doing, listening to this norm of having a great equipment, that you didn't explore the equipment that you had. So you have a great speech, you have great equipment that is affordable. What's stopping you from winning the contest? Well, this is that part where I'm going to give you the main ingredient that will help you become a champion, if not today, but someday. When I was introduced earlier, the Toastmaster of the day, and in fact, the person who introduced me was talking to y'all about the experience that I have in Toastmasters. I started back 17 years ago. Way back in 2003, I was introduced to Toastmaster as a youth leader. I joined a youth leadership program, and right after that, I joined a Gavels Club. That's where my journey started with Toastmasters. After I joined the Gavels Club, 2 years later, I was eligible to be a Toastmaster. I joined Toastmasters immediately. And something about Toastmasters competition made me feel, I would say more energetic and enthusiastic. And I started competing. I started by losing the club contest. 2 years in a row, I lost the club contest. I was asking myself, does this mean that I'm not good enough? 2 years later, I competed again, and then I won the club contest. I said, wow, that's a great achievement. I went on to the area, I lost at the area contest. I said, I thought I was getting better. And why did I lose? Should I stop competing? I said, I'm going to try one more time. I went ahead one more time. I won at the area contest. I went to the division, I lost the division. I won the area, I went to the division, I lost again. So I had, by this time, 3 losses at the club, 2 area contests loss, 2 division contests loss. So I had 7 losses already, right? And not a single win that I can say that, oh, I've had a big win. Went on the next year, I lost again the division. Went on the next year, I won the division. I placed second in the district semifinals. I qualified for the finals, placed second in the district. The very next year, I did the same thing. I placed second in the district. The very next year, I didn't place at the district finals. I qualified for the finals. I didn't place in the top 3. This went on and on and on and on and on until last year. I kept losing year after year, and I was not able to win a district contest. Excuse me. There were times when people came to me and they said to me this. They said, Rafiq, Ahmed, every year you go and you lose the district, don't you think you're getting a message there? I said, what is that message? They said, the message is that you're not good enough to go past the district. You're good as a speaker, but the level of you as a speaker ends at the district. You don't have what it takes to go past the district. Now, here's something which I told myself way back when I started competing, and I keep telling this to myself every single year. No matter how many times I lose, I will come back and lose one more time. Because every single year, maybe for you, I'm losing. For me, I'm losing progressively. Ever thought about that? Every single time you compete and lose, You're not losing, but you're losing progressively. And the reason I tell you this is because I started losing at clubs, progress to losing at areas, progress to losing at the division, progress to losing at the semifinals of the district, progress to losing at the district. And today, I can tell you that I proudly have progress to losing at the regional quarterfinals. So every level of loss is giving me a progressive loss. If you thought about your loss in that sense, nothing is going to stop you until you reach and probably lose at the international convention at the finals, at the World Championship. Personally, for me, that'll be a great achievement if I can reach the finals and lose there. So ask yourself, are you willing to lose? And then you need to ask yourself, are you losing progressively? If you are going in the right direction. Because not today, not tomorrow, maybe not 2 years from now, maybe not 10 years from now, but if you keep at it, you will reach the World Championship public speaking and you will win it. So over the years, I've learned to be a progressive loser. If you are willing to be labeled that, then you are going to become a winner one day. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope whatever I shared with you as an experience is going to help you. Of course, the old adage goes different strokes for different folks. But with experience, I can tell you this. If you're going to follow what I just shared with you for your online speech contest, it will help you ace and it will make people scratch their heads wondering, what equipment did you use that made you stand apart? What strategies did you use that made you stand apart from the other contestants? Let them keep scratching their heads. You go back, pick up that old phone that you had, the Samsung J12, I don't know, J10s, or those old Samsung phones that you probably thought were useless. Get back those phones, because remember, these phones are built to take great quality images. These phones are built to capture great videos, which your laptop probably may not help you with. I wish you all great luck for your contest season. And some of you champion speakers that are already among us, I know that you will relate to what I said. Being there every year, competing and making yourself available, showing up for the contest is actually a big thing in itself, because every single time you lose hope. And every time you lose confidence. And don't expect someone to come and tell you that you're a great speaker. Don't expect someone to pick you back up and say, hey, you know what? You got to try one more time. Only you can say that to yourself. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow, everyone, let's give TM Rafiq a big round of applause. If there are takeaways that I got from TM Rafiq today, it's number one, don't focus on what you don't have. Focus on what you have and work on it until it becomes better. Second, it's law of attraction. Losing is part of the game, which means every no brings you a step closer to a yes. Every losing opportunity is a progress. Wow, that was very inspiring. And I know that some of you are longing to learn more. Don't you worry, because just right now, we are going to have a round table discussion with TM Rafiq. I'm sorry, TM Rafiq. I know you're about to take your break, but not for now. Stay put. Let me call on our leader for the roundtable discussion. Let us have TM Stephanie from Metro Lipa Toastmasters Club.
Yes, thank you so much, TM Pao. And to make sure that we'll be able to accommodate your questions for TM Rafiq, with me are TM Migs and TM Princess, who will be reading your questions from the registration and via our Facebook Live, respectively. Also, you can drop your questions here in our chat box, and I will be extending them to TM Rafiq. And if you're camera shy, no worries, you can send me a private message and I will be reading it for you. So, what are we waiting for? Have your pen and paper ready? And for our first batch of questions, TM Migs, take it away.
Okay, so thank you, TM Steph. So this is the first question to Team Rafiq. Will you talk about controversial topics? Why or why not?
Hmm. All right. I think that's a really good question to relate to someone I know who spoke about a controversial topic. Now, last year at the International Convention finals, if you notice, the runner-up Linda, right, Linda Marie, spoke about the one of the most current, but the most controversial topic at hand, which was about racism, right? The entire issue about Black Lives Matter and all of that, it was all culminated in the same speech. And before the contest, I was having a chat with one of the world champions, Dave Ross, and me and Dave were discussing about this and the exact same thing. Is it okay to start talking about or giving a speech about Black Lives Matter this year? And Dave said something that I kind of related to later on when Linda had the same speech. At that time, I didn't know that Dave was actually involved in writing Linda's speech, and that's why he brought this up. I came to know about it later. Dave said this. He said, there is always going to be someone out there who's willing to take the chance. It may not be you, but if it's not you, doesn't mean no one else is going to do it. There's going to be someone out there who's going to take the chance. So if you think that someone is you, go ahead and do it. And again, if that contest matters to you so much that you don't want to take a chance, again, that's your call. Linda took the chance. Many people said there were messages. Linda was sharing this with someone, and the other champions were sharing this in one of the events. People wrote messages to Linda, which read something like this. They said, that was a great speech. I'm so happy someone did it. Someone talked about this. There were also speeches where Linda received messages that were not so pleasant, right? People came back to her and said, that's not the topic we want to hear. You're bringing topics to the table in Toastmasters where we don't encourage to talk about such topics. This is something which is outside Toastmasters. But the fact remains, Linda was the runner-up. She did not get disqualified. Whether you liked it or you hated it, you have to live with the fact that Linda placed second. She was the runner-up. So it's about you making that choice. However, that being said, it is not an open invitation to start talking about topics that are hitting the bullseye of the topics that are completely, I would say, a no-no in Toastmasters, which is sex, religion, politics. You don't want to have a direct topic that comes into this framework. If you have a topic that you think may be controversial because of the nature of the topic, in terms of creating opinions, I would say that is your choice to make. It could go both ways. It's a 50-50, I would say, chance. Personally, I would say go ahead and try it. I would. I've had one speech on my own personal experience. This was when I was competing in District 20. This district is not the same district that I'm in right now. At the humorous speech contest, I had a speech titled Puto. Okay, the speech title was Puto. I'm talking about it's a humorous speech, by the way. I'm talking about the fact that, we Filipinos are so much into rice, right? We love eating rice. We eat rice for breakfast, rice for lunch, rice for dinner. And when it's time for dessert, we end up eating rice as well because puto is made of rice. So there is rice, and rice, from morning till night. So I was talking about giving a humorous speech about puto. Many people thought that it is in direct reference. It may not be accepted well by the Filipino culture. Maybe as a cultural thing, I'm making fun of it, they said. But others thought that, it's not making fun, it's embracing and then talking about it in a humorous way. So you would have both, and I ended up, in fact, being a runner-up that year. Someone even went and protested against me. One of the leaders, who happens to be Filipino as well, protested, saying that it's making fun of our culture, because somewhere in the speech, there was also a line which many thought was a bit offensive. And the line went something like this. I may have overstepped, back in the days I was young, I was, amateur. So I didn't know that you're not supposed to use lines which are going to, offend someone. The line went something like this, if I remember correctly. I was saying, Filipinos also have this problem of confusing genders when when they refer. He becomes a she becomes a he, him becomes a her becomes a him. And then I said, that is probably the reason why there are many people here with us who are who fit in the category of both he and she. That was probably offensive for some, you see. So I had that line as well. There was just one line there. So to answer your question, you may succeed, you may fail. It's a 50-50 if you're using a controversial topic.
Okay, thank you, TM Rafiq. So my is openness, no, and stand on your ground, stand on your principles, and fight for what you believe in. However, we cannot control the minds of everybody, so we should respect their opinion, but they should respect our opinion also. Okay, next question, TM Rafiq. What are your thoughts on the prepared speech practice tip that goes practice to internalize and not to memorize? Practice to internalize and not to memorize.
All right. Yes, thank you. That's a great one. I'll just go back to again my own experience. Back in the days when I had DTM Numel living in Bahrain, we had a style of practicing which I never knew existed, but I was introduced to that style by DTM Numel. We used to go to food courts, right? Large, noisy food courts. And DTM Numel would ask me to give my speech there. At first, I thought that was the best way to get yourself ridiculed, right? Later, I realized that that was a great technique. And why I say it's a great technique is because this. When you're conscious of your surroundings, you become unconscious of your speech, right? When you become unconscious of your speech, there are two ways that you're going to go. One, if you've memorized it, you're going to forget your lines, right? Two, if you're like it was said, internalize your speech. When you say internalize your speech, it's about you living your speech. Imagine if I were to ask ERA Director Windel, we met, let's say, somewhere outside and came to know that, I've seen Toastmaster Windel somewhere. I said, hey, is that you, Toastmaster Windel? She said, yes. I say, oh, that's great. So tell me, what do you do? Do you think Toastmaster Windel is going to say, you know what, Toastmaster Rafiq Ahmed, give me 15 minutes. Let me go and write down what I have to say, memorize it, and then come back and tell you. She's not going to say that, right? She's going to start speaking. Why? It's because she's talking about herself. She knows herself so much, she doesn't have to write it down. The same thing goes for your speech. If your speech is yours and you've lived your speech, you don't run the chances of forgetting it. And that is all about internalizing your speech. I would say the right word would be living your speech. And if you wake me up, of course, in the middle of the night and ask me, can you give us your speech? I would say I need to look at my script maybe. If I say that, it means that I have memorized word for word, and it is so clear in my mind that if one word is amiss, I'm going to forget my speech. But if you wake me up in the middle of the night and tell me about your speech, I'll easily be able to deliver my speech to you as a message in my own way. So memorizing for me, word for word, is not a good practice. Memorizing scene for scene is probably what you want to do. You need to know your scene 1, 2, 3, 4, and then each time you end your scene, you need to know what's the connection of your scenes. That's for me memorizing. However, if you have sentences, I would say phrases that has impact for your message. For example, I'll tell you one. There was a line in one of my speeches way back in 2015. It says, you don't have to fit in those sleek spandex superhero suits. Sleek spandex superhero suits. It's easy to forget this, right? Forget the alliteration of this. So I memorized that line so that I don't forget the sequence. So sleek spandex superhero suits. So if it's a sequence that you don't want to forget, you definitely have to memorize it. Or if it's a phrase that is a tongue twister, you have to memorize it. So I would say memorizing word for word, not a good idea. Memorizing important lines in your speech, yes.
Thank you, TM Rafika. TM Steph and TM Princess, are there any questions?
Yes. Thank you, TM Mix. So from a question from our Division K Director, Teacher Joy, TM Rafiq, does regional accent lessens the probability in winning international contests?
I wish it did, but actually it doesn't. And a live example of that is Manoj Vasudevan. Manoj belongs to a part of India where the accent is a very big problem. Manoj comes from Kerala. Manoj Vasudevan is from Kerala. I don't know how many of you knew this. People who belong to this part of India cannot pronounce T. The letter T is not pronounced. They have a D. So 20 becomes 20. Okay, there's a D to a T. So if you hear his speech carefully, you will see the D resonating. All right, here's another one. They cannot pronounce C. A C becomes a G. All right, so uncle, which would normally sound like uncle, becomes ungle. All right, becomes ungle. When they speak, you probably didn't pick that up, but if you hear carefully, you will pick it up. You will pick it up in Manoj Vasudevan's semi-final speech. You'll pick it up in his final speech. And here is Manoj Vasudevan becoming and standing right in front of you tall as the world champion. Even the year before that, in the prior years where he didn't become the world champion, he was there at the finals and he had the same thing. He had a very thick Indian Keralite accent to his speech. So regional accents don't affect you, apparently, I would say. And you've had back-to-back non-native speakers winning the world championship. Started off with Dhananjaya. You got Dhananjaya, you got Darren Tay, you've got Prasian, you've got Manoj Vasudevan. So many.
Wow, I totally agree. Thank you so much for sharing, TM Rafiq. So one more question from DTM Julius Cruz. TM Rafiq, do you consider humor to be an essential element in order to win the World Speech Championship nowadays?
I have to be careful when answering this. And the reason I say this is because I don't want to lead you in the wrong direction, but I want to lead you in the right direction. Last couple of years, I would pick one example of Aaron Beverly's speech. The way I saw his speech, 80% of his speech was humor, and then probably the last 15% or even 10% was the message. And this is a strategy that worked for him. Again, going back to the same thing which I said, different strokes for different folks. If that works for you, it will work for you. Mohammad Ghahtani, when way before he became the world champion of public speaking, Mohammad Ghahtani was a multiple-time humorous speech champion in District 79, the district that I belong to. He kept winning humorous speech championship of the district. When it came to international speech, he was always either placing second, or he was the runner-up, or he was not placing. Until the year, which was 2015, when, as every year, he placed second in the international speech in district, the first place winner backed out, which gave him the opportunity to go forward and compete on behalf of the first place winner, or I would say compete representing District 79. He ended up becoming the world champion. Humor will work for you at bigger levels. And going back to what I said, because people are asking what's in it for them. Imagine a big conference where people have paid money. They don't want to come and sit there and listen to you talk to them about death. They know eventually one day everyone is going to die, but you don't have to remind them in an event where they're paid to be entertained. They paid to take something home which was valuable, worth that money. You don't want to talk about death. When you talk about humor, you actually ease the tension, right? And when the tension is eased, the ice is broken easily. You're breaking the ice with the audience by using humor. So humor is essential because that is the easiest bet you have to connect with your audience. So why I use Mohammad Ghahtani's example is this. That helped Mohammad Ghahtani stand out of the crowd in those 10 contestants that year. If you hear the 2015 World Championship of Public Speaking, you had everyone talking about a serious topic except Mohammad Ghahtani. Mohammad Ghahtani had more humor in his speech, and that made him stand apart. When you use humor, it helps you to stand apart from the contestant. People remember you for two things: if you made them cry or if you made them laugh. If you are good at making them cry, actually, some of the world champions have said this, and I'm going to re-quote this. You're going to make them cry. You got to lift their spirits back up. And the opposite of making them cry is making them laugh. So eventually, you will need humor. I told you, I used to have speeches where people are crying and crying and more crying till the end. And I thought those are great speeches. But eventually I learned that you have to go with the flow of how people receive your message. We are tuned to be that way. You can't tune people to be different. You can tune yourself, but you can't tune people to be different. There's a norm being set that you have to have humor to drive that message. If you're going to step out of that norm, that's a risk you're taking.
Wow, that's so powerful. I agree that icebreakers are really powerful. So one more question, TM Rafiq, from one of our audiences here in the chat box, just right before we go through the FB Live questions. So from TM Jean Lopo, during speech contest, can we include different language to include personal experiences scenario? Do I need to interpret for them to understand?
Yeah, I think that's a valid question for speech contest, since we are right now in the contest season. Culture is something that is unique to each and every one of us. We are an image of the culture that we belong to. We cannot escape that. When you bring this to a bigger stage, people love to hear about it. The reason why they love to hear is because it is unique, and they never knew that something like this was there probably. So the best way to make them feel or sense the taste of that culture is through your language that you use. You can definitely use it. I would in fact give you a tip and say this. How about a speech title? Uh, Going back from my experience, my speech title was Puto, right? Half the audience don't know what Puto was, but that gave them the I would say the curiosity to know what it was. So if you had a title where you used a word that is unique to your language, to your culture. How many of you have heard this? Ubuntu. Ubuntu became a big word. Like Ubuntu was not known to any one of us 4 or 5 years before ago. But now Ubuntu, if I say, I'm sure most of you know what Ubuntu means, right? It's a Swahili word, but we never knew it before. And then you see people using it, and then you say it is even featured on Coldplay, on one of the Coldplay songs. Ubuntu was explained. So what if Ubuntu was not known to people, but now it got known to people because someone introduced it? So I think that's a great way of making people feel or taste the essence of your culture. So I would say go ahead and do it.
Wow, that's great. So now let's jump into the Facebook Live questions, and let's call on TM Princess.
Thank you so much, TM Sev. Hi, TM Rafiq. So there's a question here coming from our FB Live. This is from TM Michael Cosico. Can you name 3 world champions and the best takeaways from their winning performance?
All right, I think that's it's like asking someone who loves to sing a song. And the reason I say this is because I follow all world champions so closely. I love the way they progress after becoming a world champion. So it's a great question. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to enjoy this. There have been so many world champions in the past, and each one has been unique to their style. One world champion, when I was just a beginner as a public speaker, way back, I used to watch a lot. I watched a speech of Edward Hearn way back in 2006. Unfortunately, and I feel so bad about this, and I keep Ed Hearn whenever I meet him online. I tell him this as well. You can't find the World Championship speech of Ed Hearn online. That is such a pity. It's not on YouTube. It's not there. Bill Stevens, the company who actually used to shoot these world conventions, actually shut down. In fact, they don't even have a VHS copy of it. So it's so unfortunate. But when I first heard the speech of Edward Hearn, I was blown away because of the way that he used his words. There was one part in his speech. He says, that was his aha moment. He said, I looked at it and I said, wow. He says, and that in reverse is wow. Of course, wow in reverse is again wow, isn't it? So when you use this word, I said, I never knew this. It's a great way of making, emphasis on a word. Entire speech, he had gestures which I never thought existed. He's trying to gesture a bounce back bag. You know those bags where you punch, goes down, comes back up. So these are just used as toys. You punch it, it goes down, comes back up. That's a speech all about. So the way he was gesturing this, every time that you punch it, it goes down. He gestured it while he was standing on stage by moving himself up and down. I said, great way of doing it. So learning from Edward Hearn I got was that your gestures, your body language is way more powerful than you believe, than you think. That was from Edward Hearn. Then I came across Darren LaCroix, someone who actually came up with this new concept of speaking while he was on the floor, on the ground. He falls off on the stage. He has a series of humorous lines. He starts smelling the stage. He says, is this where the horse did it? And then he starts introducing the contest chair by lying down flat on his face. I said, wow, that's a great way of opening a speech. It's a great position to start your speech in. That was my learning from Darren LaCroix. And then moved on. And then I came across a speaker like Dhananjaya. Now, Dhananjaya, personally for me, actually, this concept existed, but it was not well explored. It is using a sound bite in your speech, a sentence, a phrase that keeps resonating throughout his speech. He kept saying, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. So he kept using this repetitively, and it's got stuck in your mind so much that even after the speech, people kept saying this. So it has to be a phrase that people are going to remember you for. And Dhananjaya was someone who actually, I would say, revolutionized this, made this glorified. So that's about Dhananjaya. Moving on, I would say that Mark Hunter. Many people thought that people coming on wheelchairs use sympathy advantage. Hunter did not use sympathy. He, in fact, rode onto the stage on his wheelchair as though he was trying to show people that he was riding a horse. That was one way of using your props. The props that is inbuilt. He's bound to his wheelchair. And then he comes in, he said, "Yee-haw!" He said, that was like as though he was riding a horse. So that was Mark Hunter for me. Over the years after that, I'm not so convinced with many of the speakers, I would say. But then comes Prasian Vasilov, where he is using his voice in order to take you directly into what was happening. The part where he's actually using his jack to lower and higher the vehicle, the exact sound of the jack. So you see, you can use your voice and the way you use your tone to your advantage. I said that was a great use of voice. Moving on, I would say someone, if you ask me, someone who used props that stuck into my mind until that moment, I never thought someone could use it that great. Jim Key. Jim Key used props of chair, which was supposed to be, for me, a cliche. Chairs are a cliche in Toastmasters. Everyone uses chairs, right? Chair is an easy prop. And here's someone who comes up and uses two chairs to demonstrate a stage. Wow. I never thought about it could be used that way. And then you have another world champion speaker using chair in order to signify a tree. I said, wow, I never knew that could be done. And finally, I would say Mike Carr. The reason why I say Mike Carr is the first online world champion of public speaking. I was so impressed by Mike Carr, by the way he used his frame. He started off his speech here at the corner. Let me try to see what he did. And he's like this. Imagine, did you even think that you could do this? And then he comes back into the frame. He used this portion of the frame to signify a door that is actually, where was that? I can't even do it. Something like this, where he's opening a door, where he's using the frame. Great use of camera. I never knew that could be done. So these are some of the world champions that I was impressed by, but does not mean I'm not impressed by the other world champions. Due to restriction of time, I can't enlist all of them.
Okay, thank you so much, TM Rafiq, for that. Another question here is how should how should you go about coaching and mentoring, and how many coaches and mentors should we have to prepare for the contest?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Along the way, I would say in the last 15 odd years or so of competing, I noticed one thing. Every single time you have a new mentor, The new mentor is going to introduce something new to you. Someone may change your style. Okay, that's not the mentor personally for me I would like to have, because my style is unique to myself. However, having multiple mentors is going to help you focus on multiple things at the same time. Last year, I had, I would say, I don't know if I would say mentors, but I created a group of people whom I thought are a part of my inner circle, people who want to see me succeed, right? Who've either been mentors in the past or who are currently my mentor. I created a group, and every time I rehearsed, I invited all of them to join in. And some of them love me, right, as a person. So they love everything I do. Even if it's probably not good, they love it. They said, no, 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 Rafiq, I love you so much. You're a great speaker. When I brought someone else in, the person said, did you notice the fact that when you speak fast, you eat the last words? I said, really? I never knew that. They said, yes. I brought someone else in and someone said, did you know that you have a problem with we and W? I said, really? When I started hearing these things, I realized it is a problem and I didn't know it existed. The reason is because the mentors that I had were like-minded and they were so much in love with me as a mentee, they probably didn't pick this up. Having more mentors gives you that extra edge that your mentor did not identify with you. I had also experienced this in the past, a long time ago. Someone introduced me to this. They said, giving speech in front of a Toastmasters audience, they're going to rate you based on how a Toastmaster speech should be. Try giving it in a different audience. So I gave one of my speeches at a church in front of, it was a Catholic church. There were nuns and, priests sitting in it. I gave my speech. They saw it in a different angle altogether. Some of the sisters there were crying. This is a great emotional speech. And although you don't want to portray your mother this way, you don't want to talk to your father this way, they gave me a new direction to my speech. So not just having more mentors, I think it's all about having different types of audiences. Because you don't know how it clicks, which different community, different audience groups, and they may give you something which your mentor didn't give. I'm a big fan of having more opinions. If you are a person who doesn't like to be criticized, then that's not the direction you want to go to. I love to be a sponge for criticism and make it constructive criticism for myself. So last year, I had 8 people helping me out with my speech, including DTM Nomel, who kept telling me that he hates my voice. He hates the way the speech was. Until I won the district, DTM Nomel kept telling me, that he didn't like the speech. When my video went for the regional quarterfinals, he had this half-hearted answer. I said, will I make it? He said, let's see. So I knew I'm not going to make it. You see, when someone else, the other mentors were telling me, you had a great speech. This is the year you're going to go to the World Championship of Public Speaking. The short answer to that would be have more mentors. And that's my style of doing things. Gives you better direction to your speech from different perspectives and angles.
Thank you so much, TM Rafiq, for that. So our takeaway for that question is that we need to have more mentors in order for us to evaluate more ourselves and our speeches, and for us to learn more something from our mentors and our from the critic and their evaluations. Now, TM Migs, do you still have other questions?
Okay, based on the pre-registration questions, this is very tricky. Okay, and this is also our challenges. Is there any way to or for the speaker to feel the audience in a virtual setting? That's a
Yes, yes,
challenge.
it's a challenge, and everyone whom last year, everyone who was competing was having this challenge. Some of the speakers that I knew last year dropped out of contests only because of this. They said, no, this is not personal enough. I don't connect with the audience better. I think it's all about practice. I started getting used to looking into the camera on my phone and speaking, that I almost started feeling now that I'm looking into the eye of my audience. And I think that's the best approach that you can take right now, because we don't know how the future of Toastmasters is going to be. Is it going to be a hybrid, I would say, approach? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be back to normal? We don't know that yet. But you got to make best use of what you have in hand right now and adapt to that. Going back to my car, the first world champion of public speaking online took that challenge and he aced it, right? Let's forget one thing, that when you are looking into the camera lens, everyone is looking at you because you're spotlighted, right? And everything you do, even those small moments are being picked up right now. Even if I'm going to twitch my eye a bit, you're going to pick that up. On stage, people probably didn't pick that up so clearly, but right now everything's picked that up. So you want to look into the camera lens and be conscious that everyone is watching you. And then that fear is going to set in, because there is that fear of being watched is what drives you and pushes you to perform better on stage. So you need to look and feel that moment for a bit. What I did one time was that last year, I had this problem of pinning the timer. You know, people keep saying, can you please pin the timer as a contestant? Until this minute, I don't know how to pin that on my phone. I don't know how to pin timer on my phone. So where I was afraid that I will end up not knowing how much was the time for my speech. So what I did is I opened my laptop. I kept it farther away in a normal view with all the grid view with everyone on it. So I can see the timer. When I did that and the laptop was right in front of me, it made me feel as though the audience was in front of me. Everyone nodding, everyone seeing, I could see them. Right? So maybe that way you can also connect better. That's just a tip. Maybe you might want to try that. You don't want to try that. But again, it's about you feeling that fear of people watching you is what is going to help you connect. Because when that fear is not there, you start making restless moments. You know, you're not conscious about where you are in. You might end up being this, thinking that that's okay. You know, you're off frame. So you have to be conscious about yourself. That is, I think, more important.
Okay, thank you, TM. So another question. So this is some tricky question. So how do you choose your topic to speak about? That's very basic. However, that's a very challenging question. How how do you choose your topic to speak up?
Yeah, I will answer that. But before that, I want to say something that I do every year. Since I'm a progressive loser, I already go prepared that, I'm going to probably lose at a certain stage. But that does not stop me from coming up with two speeches every year. One is a speech that I take all the way until I keep winning, expecting that I'll reach all the way and use the other speech. So in the process, what I end up doing is when I do lose, the speech that I prepared thinking that I'll use it at a higher level of contest, I use this speech now at the starting of the contest next year. So that's how I choose my, or prepare my speech. However, preparing, I would say, or coming up with a topic to speak upon, this is something I want to take from some of the mentors that I've had experience with in the past. Is there something that is inside you which you want to share with the world, but you haven't shared it? Right? That's the way of looking at it. The other thing would be this. Not every one of us is bold enough to share something that has happened to us on a personal level. For example, it may be an embarrassing moment. It may be a moment that I got kicked out of my job because of me being lazy. Are you willing to come up on stage and accept the fact that you were lazy and you got kicked out of a job? If you are willing to do that, the audience will love you for your humility. They're going to love you for the fact that you accepted it and you're a better person now. Are you willing to share with the audience something that you did wrong, right? Maybe you wronged someone. For example, there was this one time when I was blessed with a car. I had a car back in the days. I don't have right now. I was passing by, and while I was about to park the car, an old man drenched in sweat knocked on my window. I opened the window and he said, "Can you tell me where is the nearby bus stop?" I said, "Where are you headed to?" He said, "I'm headed this place." I said, "Okay, the nearest bus stop is, this way. Take this turn, take that right." And I just closed the window. Something inside me told me, what if I just go and drop him? But I was at the parking of my house after a long working day. So I said, nah, I'm just going to go home and rest. So I left the car and I started walking up. And my guilty conscience made me feel so bad. I went back, I got out of the car and I started looking for this old man, but he was gone. I felt so bad. right? I felt really bad. When you share this story, people are going to hate you for the fact that you didn't drop the old man, but they're going to accept you and they're going to forgive you for the fact that you at least realized it. So this is how you choose your topic. You need to pick a topic and talk about something which you would normally not talk about, which you would be scared to talk about. That is having the most impact on your audience. It could be you, just for the sake of example, it could be you betraying your partner. Normally we don't talk about that, right? It could be you hurting someone. As long as you've had a realization, people will love you for that. So this is how I explore topics. People tell me that I'm guilty of using all my speeches where I talk about only family. I've spoken about my dad, my mom, my daughter. Usually my speeches are circling around these things. And usually in my speeches, I am the bad guy. So they say, why did you do that? I said, it is something I haven't shared with someone. I want to share it with the world now. That's how you choose your topic.
Okay, thank you, TM Rafiq. TM Steph.
Yes, thank you, TM Migs. So, last question for this roundtable discussion for you, TM Rafiq. What are your final words for our future participants for the International Speech Contest?
All right. I wish there was something that I can give you that will immediately elevate you from the club contest all the way to the world convention. I really wish there was something I could give you. What I can give you right now is this. If you're in the contest season, if you are a veteran speaker who've been there, done that in the past, but you've lost, and that loss has actually rusted you, or probably you think that you have been there, already done that, your time is done, you don't decide, no one decides whether your time is done. Your time is done when you win. And I want to borrow this quotation from a famous motivational speaker, Les Brown. Les Brown says this in the best way possible. And he says, it's not over until I win. I think that's the attitude each and every one of us should have, whether it is speech contest or in life. It's not over. Trust me, it's not over. And I'm going to leave you all by telling you this. You decide when it is over. And when you decide that, you are the only one who's responsible for that decision. If you've been losing at something and you decide to quit, that loss, the streak of loss that you actually had is on you. But if you decided to continue and go all the way and win it, that's on you too. You can't blame anyone. You can't let anyone else take the credit. We tend to go into this mode where, especially with Toastmaster speech contests, we start cribbing about things. Oh, the audience was not the right one. The judges were biased. I had only 2 Filipinos in the 7 judges. That's why I lost. Oh no, they had all 7 Arab judges. That's why Mohammed Ghatani won. Oh no, they had more Chinese in the audience. That's why Kwang won. These are some excuses that you're going to tell yourself to make yourself feel better. But the day you start making these excuses, it is a sign that you don't have your self-confidence left anymore, and you are going to quit any moment from now. I've had that when I was losing a district contest, and here's the worst part about losing for me was, I was losing to the same person every year, every single year. I had a contestant who would come every year and win the district, and I would go there and lose the district. With different area, I might win it, so I can go to the division. I'm losing at this division, let me try a different division so I can win. No, you're losing somewhere, stay there until you win. And same thing goes for contests. You know, you've been losing for the last couple of years, stay in there. You're probably this close, and you quit when you were almost going to win. I'm old enough to understand this fact right now that I know when enough is enough. But as I said, as Les Brown said it, it's enough, it's over, only when I win. And if you have that attitude, you could be 2021 world champion of public speaking, probably in Paris. Back to you.
Wow, indeed. All of us learned a lot to have what it takes to be an international speech champion. Thank you so much, TM Rafiq. And for the next part, let me now call on our TM of the day, TM Pao.
Thank you so much, TM Steph. Wow, it feels like I've just heard a table topic contest, and there's one champion who keeps on answering. Oh my goodness. We truly appreciate the effort, the time, and the intellect or the wisdom that you have shared within us today, TM Rafiq. And because of that, we actually want to present a certificate of appreciation to you and to the people who have attended this meeting. So let me call on AD Windel Di Maandal to present the certificates.
Thank you so much, TM Pau. And of course, wow, TM Rafiq. Actually, we are really counting days. I'm really sending private message to TM Rafiq that we're really counting days and we're really looking forward to meet you. Maybe not personally, hope maybe soon I will be able to meet you personally. But of course, it is a great honor to meet you virtually. So last year, 2020, indeed, pandemic brought us great opportunity, of course, to meet a champion indeed. What can I say? TM Rafiq, wow, congratulations. I am very speechless. And of course, thank you. Thank you for being an instrument of blessing to all Toastmasters in Division K. And of course, for me personally. So, TM Rafiq, thank you so much. Area 3 cannot just say thank you because indeed this webinar is really fabulous. We learned a lot. You're very generous in sharing your experiences and answering those questions, and of course those questions that you answered is direct from your heart and based from your experience. So now, TM Rafiq, kindly accept our appreciation. TM Princess, TM Rafiq, on behalf of Division K and of course Area 3 as sponsor of this event, thank you so much, Director Joy, Division K Council, for giving us the opportunity to Area 3. So now we were able to meet our champion. We're able to be of a blessing to our fellow Toastmasters in Division K. So here we are presenting the certificate of appreciation to Toastmaster Rafiq Ahmed in recognition for your valuable support in Toastmasters International District 75 Division K Contest Expo as our resource speaker in this webinar, Champion Makes Champion. So given this 16th day of January 2021, TM Rafiq, this day is indeed we made a difference, not only to our personal lives, but of course to the lives of the fellow Toastmasters in our area and in our division. Signed by yours truly, AD Windel, and of course, our Division K Director, Teacher Joy. So once again, thank you so much, TM Rafiq. Now, of course, aside from saying thank you to our resource speakers, of course, this event, this webinar won't be possible without the person, the people behind its success. So I would, on behalf of Area 3 and as the area director, and of course on behalf of Division K, so we would like to present the certificate of appreciation, of course, to our event coordinator, Toastmaster Steph, Toastmaster Pau, Toastmaster Migs, Toastmaster Princess, Toastmaster Yang, and of course Toastmaster Eve. So we would like to present this certificate of appreciation to you for sharing, of course, your knowledge and effective contribution as facilitator of this event. Of course, we cannot me as a director, I cannot do it on my own. Of course, you are there. You are there. You are the people behind the success of this event. And of course, I would like to mention and we would like to give our deepest appreciation, of course, to DTM Egeline, Paul Gascon, because and of course DTM Nomel and Teacher Joy, and of course the rest of the area director for helping Area 3 to make this webinar possible, and of course for giving us the opportunity to meet and to have personal contact with our speaker for today. So with that, thank you so much. We really appreciate all your effort to make this webinar possible. And now, of course, to all the participants who are here today, so do not leave, kindly answer first the link posted in our chat box by TM Princess so that we will be able to send to you later your certificate of participation. Please ensure that the spelling of your name is correct. And of course, I really requested to TM Rafiq if he can send me the electronic copy of his signature so that we will have it in your certificate. So to all participants, thank you so much. So the certificate of participation is of course awarded to you, signed by our very own, our champion speaker, Toastmaster Rafiq, and of course yours truly and our Division K director. So don't forget to kindly answer